G'day guys, Solid here and welcome back to another episode of Adventure News where we talk the latest, the greatest and sometimes the hated adventure and dual sport stories. And this one's going to be a bit of both today probably. We're talking about KTM, specifically the 490 Adventure. I've got my pumpkin jumper on, so let's roll into the fresh rumours and speculation. This isn't going to be a hard facts, this is going to be again piecing together little drips of information to try and figure out where this bike is heading. So let's roll that intro and jump into all things orange. Before we jump into what exactly is the latest rumours, I'll just fill you in if you haven't been following this story. Basically, KTM had a shareholders meeting in which images were leaked of this 490 range as well as that 390 range that we know is coming as well. And in that was a 490 Adventure. We also know that there's an RC coming, a Duke coming, and there's also two bikes that don't have names that we think. One is a Super Moto and the other one, I'm crossing my little unicorn fingers, might be an Enduro, but we haven't had any confirmation and you'll be sure that I'll make a video on that as soon as I find out. But moving on from that, the KTM CEO, he confirmed that they're releasing the 490 Adventure in 2022. So he officially went out and stated that fact. So we are expecting KTM to produce this bike in 2022. So this is where the new information comes in. This is just rumors from insiders that journalists are reporting on, but it does seem to make a lot of sense once we dig through this speculation. This 490 Adventure is supposed to be produced in KTM's new plant in India. The problem is we've just found out that that plant in India won't be ready until 2023. So you can see there that there's a year gap between where the bike is expected to be made and when KTM can actually produce the bike. So what do they do here? Do they come out and say that the bike will be delayed a year because the plant is being made? No, I don't think so. And these journos also seem to agree with me. They will probably move further east. Well, that means moving to China. And I know that's going to be a big problem for a lot of you for many various reasons. I don't want to get bogged down into the political nature too much, but I will recognize that this could be a difficult maneuver to pull off for KTM. Now, they do already have a presence in China, a big one. They have a big manufacturing agreement with CF Moto. They produce bikes in China already. The 750 range is being co-developed and produced in the CF Moto factory. For those who really follow the story, they're expecting KTM to move over to China to produce his 490. As CF Moto have already been producing KTMs, they're very familiar with producing parallel twins. So it makes sense in order to meet that 2022 deadline that KTM just shift further east and keep pumping out the production for this 490 Adventure and all the other 490s. So it's looking very likely that Bajaj will not get first dibs on producing this motorbike. Now it doesn't mean that KTM won't move back once Bajaj open up that plant in India, but for now it looks like they could be producing from the CF Moto factory. Now, I don't think that will mean any drop in quality or any problems with production. It's more of an ideological and a philosophical argument as to where you want to buy your products from at the moment. So I think that will be very controversial and challenging to negotiate in some instances. And I guess some people will care, some people won't. I will leave that political stuff up to you guys to make your own decisions, as I'm a big believer in voting with my wallet. What does this all kind of come together to really highlight? Well, we don't really get too much confirmation on new information other than where KTM are intending to produce the bike in the near term. What this does do is it reiterates that KTM are certainly planning to release this bike in 2022, which is a big relief, as I know a few of you have been concerned lately that this bike is going to get pushed back. Now that certainly is a possibility, but I think with the CEO confirming it's 2022, they've already had the shareholder leak which stated the same thing as well. KTM are kind of already stuck in this groove of needing to release this bike in 2022. So I think we can expect this bike to come out next year, which is very exciting. Why do I say it's so exciting? Well, here we come into one of Solid's good old rant sessions. My biggest problem with the adventure bike market is that we've really got too heavy and too overpowered. Now, I know some of you are going to say you can never have too much power. Look, I love having a secondary bike with a good amount of power and having a brap on the road. But when it comes to my off-road bikes, I like them to be lightweight and I like the power to be manageable. Now, manageable and lots of power is very subjective, but a bike that makes close to 150 horsepower for me is just too useless off-road. And I think even the middleweights have been suffering from this problem, and it really is starting to irk me that the motorcycle industry even calls these bikes middleweights. When you look at an F850 GS or you look at a Tiger 900, they're big bikes that are the size of a big 1200 GS from 10 years ago. So they really are basically big adventure bikes now. They've got lots of weight. They're way north of 200 kilos these days, and they're really not set up to do anything significant off-road. So the fact that they're called a middleweight is just because the big bikes have just got so huge that it's ridiculous. So I'm really looking forward to KTM coming in and reinvigorating this small displacement adventure bike category. We're really needing a 500cc engine, I think, with decent power specs, lighter weight, and can really do some off-road riding. And I think KTM would be very smart to do two variations here. That is a more road-orientated kind of adventure touring version, and then a more hardcore R version that can really hang with the guys off-road doing some technical stuff. So I would really like to see that from KTM, and I'm very excited. As you guys know, I'm more of a lightweight guy. I do like my big touring bikes, but gun to my head, I always want lightweight and better performance off-road. I think that's why a lot of people are excited for the 490. They're just sick of these overweight, overpriced, massive adventure bikes. Whether you want to call them middleweight or flagship, they're all too heavy in my eyes. And I think that's why the Cemera 700 has done so well, because it's kind of bucked that trend a bit. So if KTM can come out with this 490 Adventure and do the job properly, I think it will be a massive hit, and I know people are very excited. And one bit of bonus information in all this too is what came out of this discussion with KTM planning to make this bike in China is the 750 range from KTM. Now, I've done a video on that. I'll link it up somewhere above, but I was very confused why KTM would have a 750 range, a 790 range, and an 890 range. Now, it looks like that the insiders have confirmed that they're actually axing the KTM 790 range. So we'll have a base model 750 range from KTM, and then we'll have the 890 series. So the 790 is going completely away. So that's very interesting news as well. And I think that's a great idea to kind of separate the two, because the 790 and the 890, it really is a bit of a head scratcher. So it makes sense for KTM to go to a 750 as a more entry-level middleweight adventure bike, if you want to call it that. So that's your bonus piece of information for the day. So that about wraps it up, guys. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. Don't forget to hit that like button, share it around with your mates. As always, don't forget to stay shiny side up, and I'll see you in the next video. Catch you later.